I'm going to make a quick demonstration of how to convert tables to text. In this example, I have some stuff that had been copied off of a web page and pasted into a Word document, and some of the information appears to be in tables. Now I'm working with Office 365, which gives me a Word 365. So my ribbon and my tools might look a little bit differently than yours if you're using a different version. And right now my cursor is active in the paragraph border lines. Down here in the lower part of the document, you can see outlines where the table boundaries and cell boundaries are within the columns and rows. I have them turned on in my version, and they always display, even if the table itself is not actively selected. If I do click in the table, then up on the ribbon, if you look at the top kind of right-hand side of the ribbon, you'll see I have a Tables Design tab, and right next to it I have a Table Tools Layout tab. I tend to refer to it that way instead of just calling it Layout, because I don't want it to be confused with the other Layout tab, which is over on the farther left-hand side of the ribbon. So in the Table Design Tools, or the Table Tools, I have the two tabs, Table Design and Layout. If I'm not actively clicked in the table, if I click somewhere else in my document, the table tools disappear. They'll only show up if I'm actively clicked in the table. And being clicked in the table, up on the ribbon, I can then click on the Table Tools Layout tab. And I'll show you over on the far left-hand side of the ribbon, I have View Grid Lines turned on. If I turn them off, they turn off for the entire document, and you no longer see those boundaries or those borders. If you turn them on, they'll always be on, and you'll always know if there's a table in your document if you see those borders, even if the borders don't print or display on screen. So with my cursor active in the table, you can also see this little plus symbol indicating that there's a table. And you can also see in the bottom right-hand side of the table, there's this little box my mouse pointer is targeting at. Those are your indications to where tables are. If I click in this paragraph that says having recently blasted, you'll see there's another table selection handle and table resizing handle, which indicates that this happens to be a table nested within another table. And the same is true down here in this bottom part of the document. Doug Mosier and his reply to Michael are in nested tables. And that's just how the website pulled it together. So to have all this just simply be text, I'm going to convert it from a table to text. And I do that by selecting the table. I'm going to get the parent table, for lack of another term, the table that has the other one nested inside of it. And then on the ribbon, again, on the far right-hand side, the Table Layout tab. On the far right-hand side of that ribbon, there's a button in the Data Tool group, and the button is Convert Text to Table. And then when I click on that, Word opens up the dialog box displaying for me the options of what it thinks it should do. And it's going to convert my table into text, but instead of having the text separated by columns, which it is now, Michael Gould, and there's a blank column, then there's the date, Word's going to put tabs in there instead. So I'm going to hit OK. And actually, before I hit OK, I'm pointing out that the Convert Nested Tables option is selected. I can't unselect it. So I don't have to do this multiple times. If I get the parent table, Word's going to convert all of the tables. When I hit OK, it happened. So now you don't see those non-printing borders of the table. And on the ribbon, you also don't see the table tools because it's no longer in a table. On my Home tab, I'm going to turn on my non-printing show hide tools so that you can see where the tabs are. Here's one tab and the second tab. So the date was in the last column. There was nothing in the middle column, which is what's here. And the Michael Gold name was in the first column. I'll do that same thing down here to this Doug Mosier table, although I'm going to point out something else is happening here. The Doug Mosier table is nested inside a parent table. So you might want to click around in your data just to see where these handles show up. And I'm going to try to get the one that selects everything. Worst case scenario, if you miss it, you just have to do it again to the table that you didn't select. So I've got all the data selected again. Go back up to the ribbon on the Layout tab, the Table Tools Layout tab. Far right-hand side of the ribbon in the Data Tool group, I click on Convert to Text, confirming that Word is going to separate my text with tabs. And before I hit OK this time, I'm going to point out, check out Doug Mosier, appears to be on the same line as the date. But when I hit OK, Doug Mosier is in a different line because this was one table nested inside this other table. And now there's all the empty tabs where the data used to be in a column and no longer is. So there you go. I'm going to hit save and call this one good.